Well, good evening, YouTube. The Sharks' longest homestand of the season is complete, and they get to close it out with a 3-2 overtime win. Tonight honestly felt like they were chasing an uphill battle all 60-plus minutes. And in reality, they were. It was just a slower, methodical game. Not a ton of scoring chances either way, except for St. Louis's second period where they were on the power play 3 times. Generated a ton of chances that way. Fortunately, the Sharks bent, but did not break. Scored one in the third, Logan Couture. That was on the power play to tie it, and then EK 65 to EK 9 on the rush in overtime. Great to see those two connect. And so the homestand, don't get me wrong, at 2-4-1 cannot necessarily be considered a success. But it's kind of the nature of this season. Just keep going, try and stay afloat, try and get all the points you can where you can get them. And so tonight, the case of that, the game never really felt like San Jose had a true grasp on it. St. Louis scores first. And by the way, I guess I'm skipping the the Clifford Gabriel scrap. My goodness, 2:35 into the game. And I'm trying to, and Curtis and I talked about this on TV, I'm trying to figure out, usually a fight is to gain momentum in a game. It was swung one way, you try and get it back, or, vice versa. Or maybe it's for retaliation purposes, right? You can understand that two guys have history, something happened last matchup, but I don't think that Gabriel and Clifford had anything to do with Bennington and Šimek, or Bennington and Carlson, or Bennington and Dubnyk. So I don't know if those guys thought it just might be fun. It might get the boys going. Whatever that was, that happened. And then the Blues score just about, a minute and a half after that, 4:16. Niko Mikkola with his first NHL goal. That stands through the first period. Sharks scored next. Marc-Edouard Vlasic. His first goal since December 2019. Just to say that here in March of 2021, if you didn't know that the team basically shut down a couple months into last year and didn't play for 10 months, if you didn't know that, you'd be like, wow, that's a long time. In reality, it was still a long time, 62 games. I mean, that's a majority of one regular season, but got his first goal of the season 7 minutes in, and then the Sharks took back-to-back-to-back penalties. Shellman with that unfortunate face-off violation. I think he was just falling over. I think he just put his hand there. His mitt glanced the puck. The officials saw that, whistled in for that. Kevin Labanc with a high stick. That was a 2, could have been a 4. And then Kevin Labanc, literally less than 4 minutes later, with a trip. So the Sharks in that period were playing the quintessential uphill battle. Like, that was the story of the night, the second period. And luckily, San Jose got out of it 1-1 in that second frame. And so still trailed by 1 with 20 minutes left to go. We said this on television. You're at the point where you're down by 1 entering the third period of the St. Louis Blues. And no, nobody comes to the rink and says, hey, great job. We're only down by 1 to St. Louis with 20. Nobody's saying, job well done. But what you have to understand in that situation, as I forget to hit my 10-minute timer, what you have to understand there is you've put yourself in a game that, come on, down 20 minutes, like, you have to, I'm not saying be content with that, but you're right in this. You're not out of this game as much as it might have felt that way, because you're constantly behind. You're constantly trying to match St. Louis's scoring. And a 3-2 game in overtime, far different than the 7-6 game we saw. What was that, February 27th? The last time these two teams met. So like I said, a slower, more methodical game. Logan Couture's goal, 13th of the year. 13 goals in 23 games. And tonight was the least prettiest of all 13. Went right off his skate boot. Not a distinct kicking motion, which is great. I'm glad they had to look at it, saw what I saw. It just glanced off either his boot or his shin pad. But you are most definitely, in the captain, you are most definitely looking at the most consistent player on the team. I've said MVP before. I'll save that for the second half of this season. I'll honestly save that to see what this team can do. I just feel like right now, through 23 games, calling him the most consistent is probably the best label for Logan Couture. So 13 goals for him. And what was the other thing I wanted to mention? Oh, yeah, scoring-wise. That's now 5 games in a row that the Sharks have not only, trailed in many of them after the first period, but 5 games in a row where they've gone scoreless in the first 20 minutes. Now, crazy enough, we saw the Sharks start this season with one of the first periods being their most lucrative and strongest period score-wise. And now we're seeing quite the opposite. So that's the nature of a lot of NHL seasons, the ebbs and flows and things that you thought you had figured out at the beginning that, here another 10 games later, 15 games later, you definitely don't. But I would say that, chasing it tonight and chasing it lately has kind of been a theme of this homestand. I mentioned 2-4-1 through 7 games. And did you see who they played? Minnesota once. Good team. Very good team. Colorado twice. Las Vegas twice. St. Louis twice. The top 3 teams in your division. This was a heavy homestand. And that's why I'm saying at 2-4-1, satisfying? Not necessarily. But it gets you through it. Could have been a lot worse. Could have also been significantly better. San Jose with those penalties in the second period. Let's talk about that. And unfortunately, it's what got Kevin Labanc benched. The entire third period is the back-to-back stick infractions. But, St. Louis was 16 shots on goal. And a large part of that in the middle frame was coming off of those 2 power play opportunities. But San Jose's penalty kill, quite strong as of late. Into tonight, it was successful for 6 in a row. They killed off 1 in the first period. They killed off 2 in the second period before the third bit him in the rear. So 3-2 game. Wait, 3-3-2? As in that number 2? As in 2 or fewer? It's exactly what I'm saying. What can you say about Devin Dubnyk? Right? That stop on Ryan O'Reilly in overtime that eventually transitioned the other way, 65-9 for the game winner. I honestly do not have a specific horse in the Jones-Dubnyk race. And is it a race at this point? Maybe. Devin Dubnyk just made back-to-back starts for the first time this season. What would lead you to believe that he will definitely not start on Friday against Anaheim? And that's rough too because it's a back-to-back. You'd rather there be some separation in the schedule, give him both starts if he can continue to roll. I don't know. Could he, after 3 days off, could he get Friday and Saturday if Friday goes well? I don't know. But I also, look, you cannot, in this type season, you cannot bury whoever's not starting a majority of the time. You can't do it because the Sharks play these Friday-Saturday combos like 6 or 7 straight weeks here. I think it's 6 in total. They did it last weekend and 5 more times, I want to say, in a row. So you're going to play a lot of back-to-backs. You're going to play a lot of 3 and 4, especially 4-game weeks. You definitely need both guys. So that's the point here is I want Dubnyk to play well. I want him to establish this. You're still going to need Martin Jones to get through this. I thought of something else here. Maybe I'll take a quick peek at the comments with about 5 minutes left on the video. Pretty soon, I'm going to do a live stream here about Sharks playoff math. I was crunching the schedule, where they've been, where they're at, and what remains in terms of road trips, in terms of sequences of games that could tell a story of can they make a push? I'll say and just to summarize it now before I really get into detail, what the Sharks have is they've played a lot of games against those top 3 teams in the division, St. Louis, the Avs, and the Golden Knights. They have a fair amount of games left against Arizona and Minnesota, but they also have a lot of games left against LA and Anaheim. Now, I group them like that because LA and Anaheim, in my book, if you want to be a playoff team, you have to cash in points against those bottom 2. And you also have to be very competitive against the other 2, the Desert Dogs and the Wild. So we'll get into that in a lot more detail in that video. But Playoff chances, I don't know. And that's the other thing. I don't want to lead you on and say, well, this could be the push. And, now they've got this difficult homestand, they established themselves at home. They got the difficult stretch out of the way. Now let's see what they do. I think the way to look at playoffs for San Jose right now is it's a long, hard road to get there from here. But if they got there, it'd be a hell of a story. And if they also don't make the playoffs, there's a couple things I would like to see from them in remaining games that would still deem the season redeeming. Wait, deem it redeeming. No, you can't do that. You understand what I'm saying. There would be some value to this season if they can get a few things accomplished. I don't want to name those things now. We'll do that in the farther video. Another note I had here was Randy Hahn came up with this not great, but interesting way to look at it. The Sharks had no shots on goal their final 12:08 of the second period. Now, a large part of that is because they spent 6 minutes of the second half of that period, killing penalties. But it was a night tonight of not really, shots were 6-6 after one. Sharks had 5 more shots in the second period. This is not a high volume, puck possession Sharks team like we're used to. If they're going to win a lot of games, if they're going to win, if they're going to go on a run here down the stretch, games are going to look a lot more like this than 4-0 Sharks win, 6-3 Sharks win. They're going to look a lot like, preferably 3-2 in regulation so that you don't give up points to the opponent. And then the last thing I want to say here before I dip into the chat is the Blues are a very good team, but very good road team. Entering tonight 10-2-1 on the road. And even with the overtime loss, 10-2-2, they've got points in 12 of their 14 road games, and they've won 10 of them. You're just trying to play 500 hockey on the road. They are far and above that. They'd won 4 of their last 5 coming in. The Sharks had lost 5 of their last 6, so 2 teams in opposite directions. And San Jose gets the better of the result in this one. So let's see if I can do this here. Let's dip into the chat for just a second. 2 or fewer. 2 or fewer. Sharks get it done. Jordan Furtado. I agree with you on that. Do you think that we'll be buyers for the trade deadline? I'm so curious about how this goes April 12th. First off, do the North Division teams, if they get a player, do they have to quarantine them for 10 to 12 to 14 days? That's a quarter of your league right there that may not be dealing. So I don't know. Is it still too early to talk about the trade deadline? Look, I don't. Let me say this: if I'm trading this year, I'm only doing it to, number one, if I can guaranteed better my team. But number 2, the only other reason why I'd be interested in trading, and I don't mean the Sharks, I mean if I'm the GM of any team, is if I am locked in a playoff spot and I want to deepen my team and further their chances of going deeper in a run. If you're on the bubble of in or out of the playoffs, I don't know that this is the year to be risky with trade maneuvers. Again, you only do it if you know for sure it's a good move for your franchise long term. If it's something you need to do, if it's something you're trying to accomplish. But in terms of make or break on the playoffs, I don't know that that's a wise move in this year to be dealing. Thanks, Doobie. Appreciate it. It was a good win by Devin Dubnyk. Don't tell you the odds. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it real. Maverick, I think we needed a win to begin the momentum for a win streak, hopefully. So you get the next 2 against Anaheim, and then after that, you got to go into Las Vegas for the first time this season. So, some I'm not going to say easier games. That's ridiculous to say about this league, but 2 different opponents. How about that? 2 very different opponents in the Ducks and then the Golden Knights back to back. If Jones or Dubnyk can play really good, I have no doubt that we'll be a playoff team. I don't know, Logan. I gotta go against you a little bit. 10-minute timer. And say that for me, team defense is more the root issue with this group. If that's good, then in turn Jones or Dubnyk are going to look good. Gabriel is scoring soon. Chase, I agree. Had one good opportunity tonight, kind of a flurry out front. do I think that EK is coming back to his old self because he's playing great right now? Now, which one are you talking about? I know you're talking about Karlsson, at least I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and we talked about that on our postgame show, is that Erik Karlsson missed only 4 games. The groin issue, whether it was just that minor or whether he really got it right and taken care of or whatever they did, whatever happened to Erik Karlsson, it has made a difference. I think we've seen him in these last handful of games here faster, more mobile, playing the puck more. I mean, like, a little bit like the stretch pass tonight to get it to Kane on the rush. Not really a stretch pass, but that type of passing, that type of puck moving, him getting up the ice, accelerating. Again, that was not the same Erik Karlsson we saw to start this season. I'm glad this one is out, and I'm not going to say that he's remedied everything and all is well. Like, he really, really struggled for a bit. So I'll say this: I'm really encouraged to see that there was a tipping point, and whether it was just being healthy or something else, I'll take a lot more of what I'm seeing now in the future, and we can kind of erase how this season started. Hunter, you need Hurdle back for your fantasy team. Well, you're going to get him, I think, this weekend, hoping all goes well. And realistically, I hope the Sharks can get Timo Meier. They've missed him now for 2 games, and I'm never saying, with last loss and even tonight in an overtime win, not saying that if you have Hurdle and you have Timo that you automatically win. But I am saying that those are 2 of the top 6 forwards on your team. And Hurdle's prowess on the faceoff dot, you look at tonight, I think Logan was right around 50%. Patty Marleau as a second-line center was somewhere in the 30s. And Gabriel was, I think, right around 40%. So, you need another guy down the middle on the dots that can help you start with the puck. I need to see more Vlasic. And let me mention that too. Every player's kind of looking for a turning point that has been struggling. And I wonder if maybe tonight that could be it for Vlasic. Just 1 goal. I know that sounds ridiculous to think that 1 goal could spark something individually and could fire up a player. I don't know. And I'm not guaranteeing that. And I'm just kind of, pulling that out of midair. But I wonder, sometimes things like this happen. We know it hasn't been prototypical Vlasic, especially in the last couple weeks. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But I would hope this happens. I would hope that Vlasic, there it is. I hope that Vlasic can turn it around. I will say this about Donato, and I saw there was another couple comments here. Yeah, Donato has been quiet in the last few games. Zach, what's going on, Zach? Ryan Donato had such a strong start to the year, and I feel like the production kind of dried up. And look, that's kind of the nature of a scorer in this league. And also, mind you, we're a quarter of the way into what would be we are what would be a quarter of the way into a regular season of 82 games, basically. So, there's still time for him to rebound. I want to evaluate Donato's season after 56 games when it's all done. But I agree. I would think he's due, if everything else is the same and everything he's putting into it's the same, which, yes, it is, that things will turn for him. Chances will become better for him. Seriously, Sour Pig, do I think Gabriel's a key player going forward? Look, how do I say this? It's an interesting, and by the way, Curtis Gabriel had what was almost the only assist last game against Las Vegas. So it's not like he's not out there trying to make plays as well, too. Let's establish that. But I would agree, that's 3 straight games where he's had a conversation with one of the other team's bad guys and subsequently dropped the gloves. And again, if a fight 235 in without any prior controversy, without any momentum already happening, the Blues or Sharks didn't score, 5 seconds in. So I want to see, I'm curious to see if there's a role for him long-term on a team like the Sharks. Look, there's a role for Ryan Reeves on the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I'm not questioning that at all. I can clearly see it. I just want to make sure that Gabriel can earn a role. Like if that, and that's fine if that's it. If this is what he's going to do, then so long as there's the need for it and he's able to do it effectively, great. And quite honestly, yeah, there's whether it's protecting your teammates or gaining momentum, a lot of reasons that he could have success doing what he's doing. I'm just saying, could it be played out if you repeat it over and over? I don't know. Like he's very interesting, right? He's a very interesting addition when he's in the lineup and you kind of have the idea of what he's going to do and he's not hiding it from anybody. And plus, I also want to say this too. I've heard from a lot of people that he is we could see he's a really high energy guy. I don't know him personally. Never even actually spoke to him. But you can kind of tell he's that sort of teammate in addition. High energy, easy to group around. So I'm just more interested. I'm interested in more. That's what I should say. Interested in more from him to see sample size, kind of how he operates and what he does. Rudolph Balcers, Rudy, as the kids call him. And as part of the video, by the way, the playoff math video, I'm also going to take a look at, well, you already know who I think's been the most consistent player this year, but I'm also going to take a look at younger players who have taken steps this season, big or small, just significant and notable steps. So I'll definitely get to that. How did I get home so fast? Are you timing me? It's crazy. With our studio going and having COVID procedures, we want to spend as minimal time there as possible. So as soon as the show's over, I don't know what time we finished. Did we finish at 9:20 or something? So it's the real question is, how did I get this live stream cooking so fast? I've got it down to on, fire up the computer, get YouTube all squared away with the video, on air, let's go. I don't waste much time. What do I think about Knizhov? Yeah, another player, young player, steps this year. So you can already understand where my thoughts are on him. They're very good. But he'll definitely be featured in that video. David, I appreciate you saying that, man. One of the best setups on YouTube. Well, to be fair, as I go to the honesty camera up here, I have most YouTubers are doing videos either as a hobby or production is not like their thing, or they just got into production. They're just learning it. I've been doing this stuff, production, for decades, since the 90s. So, and the other thing too is what you see here is not, there are some expensive pieces of equipment here and there. Not all of it is though. So it's more technique than the actual equipment. Although I will say that I handpicked a lot of this stuff and, I chose it on purpose, strategically. Nick, you watch every pregame, postgame, and the actual game. That's very much appreciated. Marcus, excited for the A season 2? So am I. That's right around the corner. Been checking out spring training highlights. Hunter, you love the Jumbo impersonation. Anytime we talk about the Leafs, that's pretty much going to come out now. Hey, see, I can't do it on this mic. Maybe it's too close. Hey, Brody. See, I can't do it. Nope. Can't do it. Something about the mic in the studio that it sounds better. Second cam time. Yep. Occasionally I'll go to the GoPro right there. That is creepy looking. That is creepy looking. You know what? I was actually thinking about adding a third camera in here. I've got one standing by. I just need to wire it in and figure out a good spot for it and mount it permanently and give it power and all that stuff. Okay. Look, I've already gone longer than I was expecting to. I'm not trying to cut out of here early. It's my baby monitoring setup. Yeah. I've got the baby monitor right over there, actually. Here's a good comment. That cross pass to Kane OT Brody was sexy nice. I love the oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. You can't see that on the screen. There we go. I love the way that was phrased. That for me is That was, wasn't really bar down, but there you go. All right. Do I have anything else even worth playing here? Oh, can't play that song. Do not want to get copyright busted here on YouTube. All right, guys and gals, that does it. I really appreciate you all tuning into this. Couple days off now for the Sharks. 3 days off. They can use it. Honestly, I can use it. We'll rest and recuperate and see what the team does in their next interesting stretch. 9-11-3 on the season. Like, hypothetically, you win both against Anaheim. You're 11-11-3. Oh! Getting closer, to that 500 mark. Just saying. Hover around 500 even halfway through this season. And the second half should and will be easier, at least in terms of logistics. So, it's interesting. Did I go on enough about EK65's pass to Evander Kane? It's so smooth. All right, that does it. Sharks win 3-2. I'll see you back on TV Friday. I'll see you back here on YouTube probably like Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. Good night.